Hello, welcome to Phil's Virtual Sewing Club. My name is Diane and I'm going to be walking you through a video on how to create this beautiful Christmas wall hanging. Okay, we're going to use several features in the machine itself, and of course that machine is the wonderful Solaris 2, or using the Solaris 2 machine. We're going to utilize some of the new features that came with this wonderful machine, as well as the upgrade for the Solaris machine as well. So one of the new features is the built-in design right here in the middle. I took it in, resized it, and so we're going to show you how to do that. We're going to also show you the endpoint connection where it's using decorative stitches, and we'll do several rows of that so you'll really get a handle on how that's works by the repetitiveness of the stitch itself. And then we're going to scoot over to the embroidery side again and we're going to work on the quilt borders, okay? So utilizing that, and then we're going to use the magnetic hoop as well. And then we're going to finish it off by using and creating a buttonhole. So the buttonholes are kind of fun. So those buttonholes are completely edited, so you can resize them to whatever size you choose, okay? So I think that I've given you enough explanation, so let's scoot on over to the cutting table and let's get started. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to exchange out our needle. Since we're using metallic threads, we want to make sure we have and use a metallic needle. In this situation, I use a 9014 metallic needle. Okay, I have replaced that already, so just so you know, and I've also threaded the machine with the first color of that'll be used in the design itself. Okay, I also want to make sure I have enough bobbins wound. So if you don't have at least 2 bobbins wound, I would wind my bobbin right now so that you have a spare bobbin ready to go and one in the bobbin case. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and select our design. I'm going to select the design under category 2, and then I'm going to scoot over and select 03. 03 are the designs that were included and come with the Solaris 2 machine. The design we're going to work with today are the 2 cardinals. So I'm going to select the design by clicking on it, set the design, and it brings it up into the edits field. In this field, we're going to select edit, and we're going to resize the design larger. Click on size, and we're going to select the first option for sizing. Then we're going to choose and select the arrows pointing outward, the 4 arrows. And each click of the arrow will make the design slightly larger. We're going to click until we get to a point where the design is at the desired size. The size I'm looking for is 12.37 by 10 inches, 0.70. Click on OK to accept it, and it puts us back into the edit screen. Now everything seems to be good to go at this point in time with the design. So the next thing I would do, I would go ahead and select my hoop. Now it's time to attach the hoop to the embroidery unit. So before we do that, I just want to talk to you about what I did and how I hooped it. What I did is I cut a piece of fabric that was at least 21 inches wide by the width of the by the length of the fabric. And then I used a piece of tearaway stabilizer, hooped it, placed the hoop onto the unit, slide it into the slot. Once it's all the way in, we want to make sure we lock it in place and adjust your fabric as needed. Okay, lower your presser foot. Once you get the green light, you're ready to go. Hit the start button and away you go. Now that my design is completed with the embroidery process, okay, I've taken it over to my cutting table. And what I need to do now is I need to trim off some of the edges because I don't need that much fabric for the next process where we're going to be applying a decorative stitch around the outer sides or edges of this center embroidered design. So first thing we're going to do, okay, trim our fabric down to, I would say, give it maybe 4 or 5 inches so that it's easy to work with on all sides. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the Fuse and Fleece Stabilizer. Okay, this stabilizer from OESD is a great backing for this particular project and for any project where you're going to be using it for quilting. So what I did with this is I cut a piece 20 by 20 inches square. Okay. Then I placed it on the back side of the embroidered section. Took my iron from Panasonic. This little iron is awesome for where it's cordless, and so when you're using it, you don't have to be close to an outlet. So I really like it for projects such as this. So I'm fusing that stabilizer to the center quilt design area. Do that all the way around until it's completely fused. Okay. Once it's fused, next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw some lines. These lines help when you're using the endpoint functionality on the new Solaris machine. So I'm going to take my friction pen and my ruler, and what I'm going to do is draw lines across this embroidered design. Okay, and I'm going to use point to point, draw my line, and place those lines. Then repeat for all the other areas so that you have that line extending out. And that's a great placement line for those designs to show where you place your placement marker, stickers, and so forth. Okay. So once I get those all drawn, and so I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because I have 6 points. Okay. And at this point, I'm ready to take this over to my sewing machine. Okay. So what we're going to do now is head on over to our sewing machine, set it up for sewing, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, now we're back at the sewing machine, and we're going to set up our properties for sewing using the end point functionality. So I'm going to click on sewing, and then I'm going to come up here to my properties field, and on page 3 I'm going to make sure that the endpoint setting temporary stop is in the on position. Click on OK to accept that. Then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to set up my guideline marker. Okay. With this, I'm going to just put it on. It's in the on position now. And I'm going to accept it and close out of it because this is going to help me guide through the positioning of my decorative stitch that I'm going to be choosing in a second. So click on close. Then I'm going to come up to Creative Decorative Stitch category. And here is where I'm going to choose the stitch that I want to work with. Okay. I'm going to scroll down to stitch 6197, which is a candle wicking stitch. I'm going to select it. Then I'm going to change the width setting to 6.7, okay, millimeters. Okay. Next function I'm going to activate is the endpoint. Click on this opportunity here. You have a whole list of more or additional functionality that you can utilize when you're sewing. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom here and select Endpoint. The endpoint functionality is new in the Solaris 2 and also the upgrade for this for the Solaris machine. In here is, you know, pretty much your settings that you can control. So I'm going to make sure it's in the on position. I'm going to come down here towards the bottom, and down here is where I'm going to stitch the formation of the particular stitch that I've selected. So I want a complete formation where it ends of that particular stitch. So make sure that has been selected. Close out of this particular field, and we're ready to stitch. Now, bringing your embroidered piece over under your needle, you're going to choose and peel off one of these little positioning stickers. These are also new in the Solaris machine, and what you're going to do is you're going to place that sticker at where you want to end and turn to do the opposite little section or the opposite side of this design. So what I'm going to do is pull your thread to the back and making sure that the left side of the end foot is resting along this column fill or satin fill stitch right here. Okay, so where the needle comes down, it should be really close to being right on that drawn line that we had created earlier. Okay, so to double check to make sure it's on that line, you may want to do your needle down, and it is really close, and so we're right on target. So that's where we're going to start. I've also made sure that I threaded my machine, with a metallic thread that was used in the design itself. And I also removed the foot controller because I'm going to do my control right up here at this part of the machine. So I'm going to press the stop button, and let's take a look and see what it's doing. So it's forming that stitch that we have selected, which is the candle wicking stitch, and I'm guiding the fabric along so that the foot stays even with that stitch in the center here. You can also make adjustments to your speed control up here, but I think that this is a really good speed because we're working with metallic threads, and we want to make sure that our metallic thread doesn't break. So it's always good to have the horizontal spool pin threaded and so forth. So at this point in time, the machine recognized that end sticker position. So it read that information, and you can see how the light is shining down upon it, and it kind of circles it, and you can verify whether or not you're in a good position or not. And so we're in a great position for the placement of that sticker, and we placed it along this other line that we had drawn over at our table, you know, our cutting mat. Okay, so we're going to follow the prompts on the machine. It says after removing the endpoint sticker, continue sewing. So I'm going to remove that endpoint sticker. Click OK to this, and then come back over here, press the start button. And it'll continue sewing until it gets to that corner position where the marker was placed. Notice it stopped. At this point in time, we want to lift our presser foot with the needle in the down position. Now the machine automatically does that for us, so we don't have to make that or any kind of adjustment at this point in time because it automatically put it or left it in the needle down position. We rotated it, so here again we're going to make sure that we place the edge of our foot along the edge of this embroidered line right there. I'm going to lower our presser foot again I'm going to hit the start button. And after we've taken a few of these stitches, what we're going to do is we're going to stop the machine and we're going to place the sticker again at this corner. So we're going to come down here, place the sticker approximately right there. Okay, if you could see that, now that my hands are removed, you can see where I placed it. Okay, I'm going to start up the machine again, and it's going to continue on sewing our decorative stitch. And the only thing again that you have to really be aware of is holding the fabric, or making sure that the fabric is lined up here so that the edge of the foot aligns with the edge of the sewing. Here we go. We're getting close to the edge. The machine should stop again. Okay, allowing us again to remove that sticker, as it says. This machine is so intuitive, and that's one of the things I love about the baby lock machines. They're so intuitive that they pretty much walk you through every step of the whole process that you're trying to achieve. Okay, so now what we're going to do, click OK to stop it. We're going to start the button again to start up the stitch formation, and then we're going to go till it stops again. Perfect. Okay. Rotate. Lift up your presser foot. Rotate. And then continue down the other side of the design. Take a few stitches. Making sure your fabric is always smooth. I'm going to just continue on, and I'm going to stop it again and place my sticker one more time. Now, if at any time your sticker becomes less sticky, you may want to opt for a new sticker. And of course, make sure it's down in all corners. This is getting close to the point where I'm going to need a new sticker. But we're going to try it one more time. Okay. Click the start button. And then we're going to just continue on, making sure our fabric is guided along the side of the embroidery. Now the camera is looking for that sticker, and as soon as it's finding that sticker, it says, okay, I need to stop now. Okay, remove the sticker, click OK to start it up, hit the start button, and away we go. So you're going to continue on with this process until you get all the way around all of the 6 sides on this design. So now the last one, we're going to place it right about there. Make sure that sticker is secure and rotate your fabric. Put your presser foot down and press the start button. Okay, we're almost done. We're almost at that end point. Now it's recognizing that sticker again. You can see how a shadow forms around it. The machine stops. Remove the sticker. Okay. Say OK. Press the start button. And away we go. There we go. We're all done with it. Okay. our first pass around our embroidery design. Okay, I'm going to tap on the scissors, but before I do that, I'm going to do a few stitches right here, which will secure that stitch in there. Okay, a couple stitches down in there, and that secures it. Go ahead and get the scissors to cut the thread, and here you go. Did a really nice job turning those corners, and you can see how you have a great formation of the stitch all the way around the design itself. Okay, to select our next row of stitches or decorative stitches for the endpoint functionality, I'm going to come over here and select 8, category 8, and then scroll down until I get to 57. Okay, 8-57. With this particular one, it's kind of like a pine needle, and it's got some cones in there, and I thought it would work really nice with the Christmas or the holiday designs that we're already using. So it says okay to cancel the endpoint setting. I'm going to say okay to this because I definitely need to select that other design. And here's the design we're working with, 8-57. I'm going to resize the width down to 6.8. Okay. I don't know, I just randomly chose these particular settings, but I mean, you can also feel free to experiment with different settings or different width settings as well with this with the machine. To see what you like best, but I felt that, you know, the 6.8 worked really, really well for this. Okay, now what I'm going to do is activate the endpoint sticker. Left click on it up here and activate down at this point right here. So scroll down, activate it. Please wait, that's a good thing. And then we're going to choose this particular category this time, just to see how the formation of the stitch looks, or the pattern stitch looks with this setting. So we're going to go ahead and close out of it. And then we're going to go back over to the machine, and we're going to find the positioning, the starting position. So I'm going to put my presser foot down, and I'm going to make sure that I get really close to where that line is. I'm going to use my down arrow or my down needle button, and that's pretty right on, so we're going to go ahead with that. Okay, then I'm going to just rotate it ever so slightly because the left side of the presser foot is going to guide right along the edge of those stitches that was last placed there in the last application. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the start button. And here again, I'm going to guide my fabric so that it stays close. The edge of the presser foot is close to the edge of this row of stitches. I'm going to stop at this time, and I'm going to place my positioning sticker. So I'm going to take that positioning sticker, put it on the line or thereabouts, and press it down securely again like we did in the last row of stitches. Start up the machine and work around the sides. If you notice, I kept the same speed, but let's try increasing the speed ever so slightly. You can hear the motor rev up a little bit there. And it's still doing a really nice job of stitch creation here. I'm applying that stitch right along this last candle wicking stitch that was applied. Here again, I use the same thread that same green metallic thread. And doing decorative stitches, you know, they take a little bit longer to sew out than just a straight stitch because it's trying to form that design within the stitch itself. So it's going to have several needle penetrations into your fabric, forming that stitch. And here again, you can see how the camera is recognizing that sticker. Okay, it's slowed up a little bit. We're going to remove the sticker just like we did in that last row. We're going to say, after removing the endpoint sticker, continue sewing, click OK. And then I'm going to press the start button, and it'll continue to sew until it gets to this corner where the sticker was placed, and it will stop. Perfect again. I think you're going to love this feature because it's so accurate with the placement of that stitch. Okay, I'm going to start up the machine again because I rotated the needle because it ended up in the down position, so I was able to rotate the fabric and continue on the second side of this design. Okay, this is the last corner on the last side. So rose up the presser foot, rotate the fabric underneath, click on start. I'm going to stop again to place the last sticker. And I'm going to place that right down here. It's right on top of the first taken stitch in this row, okay? So we're going to start it up again. Continue to guide as you work through it. One thing I also wanted to remind you of is don't press between the rows of stitching. Because, you know, I always get the urge to press because the more I press, the better I feel, because I think pressing is everything when you're sewing a garment or when you're putting together a wall hanging like this. But in this situation, I would say do not press until we've completed all of our rows of decorative stitches, because we don't want to remove our guidelines, okay? Because those are still very important to our use yet until we have completed around, stitching around our decorative stitches and doing our rotation. So here it's recognizing that sticker, the very last sticker in this row. It's getting ready to stop. Okay, it stopped. Remove the sticker. Go ahead and hit the start button. Before you do that, you have to click OK over here on the machine. Okay, we're done. So now what we want to do is, I think I showed you earlier what this particular feature was, but it's a tie-off feature. So it'll take as many stitches as you press on the button. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Okay. So what that did is that tied it down here at the, it actually applied like a back stitch, but only it took it like in the same needle position. Okay, so do that. That's a really nice feature as well. Then I'm going to cut my thread. Okay, it lifts up automatically, and voila. I want you to see how close that got right there. So you can see the benefits of these guideline stickers and the use on the machine itself. Here's the first pass. That's the first corner that we went. And I'll just walk around here. See how the pretty formation that made? Right there. You can see that all the way around, how well that formed that stitch. To start our third row, we've already selected our pattern, which is a repeat of the first pattern that we had chosen. We're going to place, our fabric right under the needle, making sure that that needle lines up with that drawn line that we had placed there earlier. Okay. And you can always check to do a needle down or needle up, and it's right on. We also want to make sure that our left side of our end foot is resting along the edge of that last stitched row. And it is. So we're going to go ahead and start up the whole process. Okay, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to place my sticker at the end point. Okay, it's my last sticker for that rotation. Go ahead, hit the start button. Continue to guide your fabric. And you can see we're almost at the end point now. Machine stopped. Remove the sticker. You can just hold this tail down. Close out. Go ahead, hit the start button. Okay, we're going to tap on this tie off. So we're going to do a couple, 3 times. Cut. And we're done with the third rotation. And here's our finished product. Not finished, but we're getting there. Okay. So you're going to continue on in this mode with using your candle wicking stitch, your pine stitch, and then the candle wicking again. And the next one we're going to rotate over will be the candle wicking.